Welcome back to another episode here on Line Academy. Today we're going to go over Microsoft Lists. So for those of you who are new to Microsoft 365 in a sense that you weren't using the on-prem environments of things like Microsoft SharePoint, lists have been around for a long time. Lists have basically since the creation of SharePoint, lists have been around. It's been a key component of Microsoft SharePoint, and developers, designers, admins, they've used lists to display data similar to you would a database. A list is essentially a database, and it uses an RDS, a relational database, to organize the data, create metadata, view the data in certain ways, and you can create forms for collecting this data. And so as we've moved to Microsoft 365, lists are still very important. And in doing this in Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft stated, hey, why don't we create its own application? Because a lot of people don't like using SharePoint. So what they did is they created their own application. So I don't know why it took them so long to do this. Maybe it's a marketing ploy. Maybe people weren't using SharePoint lists as much as they should be, or I don't know. But lists are here. They are ready for you to use. They've created more templates around them, whereas SharePoint list templates were really only a calendar, a Gantt chart. I think a task list was one of them. Now they have created a whole bunch of templates for you to be able to use, quickly roll out, and then they've made it a lot more user-friendly with Microsoft 365 is going a lot more to the out-of-the-box functionality, click and drag type of build-out, and lists is a lot like this as well. So we're going to go ahead and get it started. We're going to create a template. We're going to see all what we can do, and then I'll go a little bit more into lists and how we can share these out. So let's go ahead and get started. Here I am in Microsoft Lists now, and so you see here there's the favorites here at the top, pretty much like every other Microsoft application, and then you have your recent lists as well, or my list, so that would be ones that I've created. So there is a test list here, that I didn't create that, but that's okay, or maybe I did and I just used a different user, I don't know. But we're going to create a new list. It's this purple button here at the top. We'll go ahead and click New List. Now, as this comes up, we see a whole lot of different things here, right? And so these are lists that are templates, whereas it's a lot bigger template database or search than was on SharePoint prior to. So we have Issue Tracker, which is always been a popular one. Employee onboarding, and when I say popular one, I mean there were a lot of developers in SharePoint 16, 13, 2010 who were building out issue tracker lists, and I guess Microsoft listened to that or saw that and made it easy and created a list out of it. So kudos to you, Microsoft. There's also employee onboarding lists, event itinerary, asset manager, recruitment tracker, travel requests, work progress tracker, which I don't know. Maybe you want to use that. There's a ton of applications that will do that here in Microsoft, but you could always use that to connect to the Power Platform, which is your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal with a list is to use it as a database, to use it throughout your entire environment, like through API or through Power Apps or something along that sense. And then there is Content Schedule. We're going to do Issue Tracker. It's pretty a common one. And then you also have existing lists, so you can create them as templates. And then from Excel, so if you have an Excel sheet that's formatted as a table, you can import an Excel sheet, or you could do a blank list. We're going to do Issue Tracker, and then we'll go ahead and click that and get started. Now that I've created Issue Tracker, it opens this guy up and it says, hey, this is what it's going to look like. Are you sure you want this? And it looks like it's an issue, which is a title, a description, a priority, status, assigned to. So this priority looks to be a drop down. We have a single line of text, multiple line of text, priority, drop down, status, drop down, assigned to, people picker, date reported, date picker, days old, probably a calculated field, And issue source seems to be a hyperlink URL, and then issue logged by is probably a created field, just renamed. So we'll use this. This looks good. Now we can choose issue tracker. We can write a description about it. We'll just say description. It's not necessary. Notice there's no red star. Then we can choose a color. I'm going to use this navy color. And then there is a bug. So we can use that if we want. I like bugs. You know, maybe we want to do rocket ship. We'll leave bug. And we can then save to my list, or this is a demo environment, so I could choose, you know, the help test team, or if you had an IT team, or whatever it was that you wanted to do. I'm gonna use it my list, but you could add it to a group, 365 group that would go to the teams, etc. So I'll use my lists and click create. Now it's created this list. Now, if you are familiar with Microsoft SharePoint, this should look relatively familiar to you. You should feel right at home. But if you're new to lists, then let's walk through a few different things. So we can customize it a little bit more. That's what this add column is, where we can add your SharePoint list functionality here. We could do single line, multiple line. Choice is a drop down. Number is obviously a number. Yes or no is like a checkbox, essentially. Think of it like a checkbox. I think it technically is a switch now, but a yes or no checkbox. Person, that's the same as a people picker, so that'll sync with your 365 members. Hyperlink is pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, so, and then you can hide columns however you'd like. So now that we have this list, and maybe we have it organized in the way that we want, or maybe we want days old towards the front. Let's click and drag. We can move it to, you know, we can move these around by clicking and dragging. So that's how organizing the fields work. But then we'll go, when we're ready to start adding data, we'll go over here and click new. And when we click new, we'll get this side panel slide out just like we would in Microsoft SharePoint when creating a custom list or any of the lists that come within Microsoft SharePoint. And now we have them, and we can name this issue. We'll just call it test. And then we can enter a description. And then we can set the priority. Notice it's a drop down. We'll say this is normal. Status is new, which is what it looks like it defaults to. That's pretty cool. Assigned, we'll pick on Adele like we tend to always do. We'll do date reported. We'll just choose today. Issue source, that we have to enter in a URL. Images, we can add an image, it looks like. Issue logged by. I'm going to put myself. It looks like that's a people picker as well. Then we can add any attachments. We'll go ahead and click save. Now that we have saved the record, it shows up here in the list. We could add multiple records here for reporting purposes. We can export it to Excel. And now notice there's some automate options here and power apps options here. So you can create a rule so that when one of these is created, that it gets sent out through some sort of a workflow, manages people. You know, we can use Power Automate. So really cool power behind this list is built in. Then Power Apps, you could create a Power App out of this if you want to. That'll be a whole nother video there, but that's pretty much it. And now if we go back to Microsoft Lists, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page, now we see our issue tracker, and we can choose to heart it, or star it rather. Now it is saved within our favorites. And yeah, view out our lists. We can click this 3 dots. That'll share it out. We can go back and open it up. We can start from here, refresh it up. And then there is this edit and grid view where we're able to quickly add items, so you don't have to do it by a form every time. So that is pretty cool. The only other thing that I'll showcase here is up here, just like in SharePoint lists, you click on this all items, and then it already has some views created for you, which is pretty cool. Usually when you create a custom list in Microsoft SharePoint, it only has the all items group. View rather, and this already comes with the issues grouped by person assigned to, issues grouped by priority, and issues grouped by status. So we can group by priority, and we see all the normal ones. If we were to add a new one, let's just call this task 2, and there we go. Let's use this urgent drop down, or critical rather, and leave all those and just hit save. And now notice it grouped by critical, and then you could do the same thing with grouped by assigned to, so you could see anything that's an unassigned, and then you could group by status, and these are all new. So Really cool functionality. It's just a whole bunch of templates that they've basically taken out of SharePoint, put them into Microsoft List, called it its own application, and bundled it up and sold it to you. But it's still cool, the functionality that we have here. So take advantage of these guys. If you're new to Microsoft 365 and you didn't know about lists before, well, welcome to lists. They're pretty cool. They're pretty powerful. And now I think they're easier to use than ever. And they're not really hidden away into SharePoint. Whereas I feel like a lot of people don't really understand the power of Microsoft SharePoint. And this has been here forever. It's just now we have templates and they called it its own fancy thing and gave it a fancy logo. So, well, guys, if you have any comments, videos you want to see, drop those down in the comments. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, fellers, see you.